All right, let's pick up where we left off. We just discussed database schema. The next thing we want to review is the SQL data types, and there's a few of them listed here. If we jump over to SQL for a second, you can see when we go create a new table, or if we were to modify an existing table, adding a new field, whatever. There's some of the different types, and we talked about what some of them are. The ones, one thing to watch out for is text in SQL is not really text. It's for binary large objects or blobs. So if you really need a long string, you wouldn't use text. You would use varchar max. And if you're international, you would use nvarchar max. So that's a large. That goes up to 2 gigabytes worth of text. It's kind of misleading because text sounds like large text, but that's actually for like Word documents or binary files. All right, data types. What else? Creating table structures. Some guidelines for that. We went over that last time. Basically, if you're going to do it by hand, this is the syntax to begin creating a table. So your homework has you, as I mentioned earlier, going into either SQL or Access or whatever database, if anyone's doing Oracle or MySQL, and doing a new query and doing the create table from scratch, and then looking up the different syntax. So it's some new table ID as int, some new table name as varchar 50, how's that look? So what's our context? Notice up here I forgot to change our context. So up here we're in the master database. So this created that table in the master. I didn't fully specify. I could have said smart chart .dbo some new table, and that would have created it in the smart chart database under the DBO schema with the name of some new table. Let's see if that executes. It does. So now under smart chart, we refresh tables. There's some new table, the columns, but I also created it the first time I did it. I left the default, which is master, which is a system database. But just because it's system doesn't mean I can't go and create some new table. That was a mistake. I'm going to delete that. Hit delete. Now it's gone. That simply ran a drop table like we had talked about last week. All right. We got to get through some of these slides. Where are we? Here we go. We reiterated last week primary and foreign key, so I won't go on that anymore. Some of the constraints that are available to us: not null, unique, default, and check. We talked about different indexes and the syntax that can be used to create those indexes. And again, if I'm talking SQL, it's pretty easy to add an index. I go to my table that I'm interested in adding an index on, finding the column that I'm interested in. So let's design this guy. Maybe I want to add index on academy name. Maybe that gets searched a lot, so I'll create index and I'll add it. Close. Now if I wanted to do that through script, SQL is good enough to say, hey, here's the script you could have run. Create, in this case, non-clustered index. The difference between a clustered and a non-clustered: a clustered means it's physically sorted on disk. Non-clustered means it's not physically sorted. So there's the syntax I would generate if I wanted to create this index without using the GUID. So I haven't saved this yet. I haven't posted this to the database, and I know that because of the asterisk. So if we close that, there's been no index created. But now I can do a new window, Control N, and then run that create index. It's crying because it expects the context to be where an existing Academy table lives, in that case the Smart Chart database. So let me change my context to Smart Chart, and then the squiggly should go away, and indeed it does. So now I can execute that. If I try to do it again, it already exists. Then I'll get an error message. Even if I had done it with a GUI and saved it and then tried to run this, it would have an error message. So the create only works the first time. After that, you have to switch to an alter if you want to make changes. All right. Alternatively, if you don't want to, if you need to alter an index but don't want to, just make a change, a lot of times you'll drop an index and then recreate it. All right. We talked about inserts and commits last time a little bit. Selects, updates, the where clause, the rollback, the deletes. Insert into, I think we mentioned this last time, but I'm going to reiterate it because it's a special case of the insert statement and the select statement. Basically, it's a way to add multiple rows using another table as the source. So let's take it for example. If we have this Academy table, let's see what's in that. Nothing. Let's add some data into Academy. So let's pretend we have a Connections Academy. There actually is one in Baltimore named a school called Connections Academy. Maybe there's a Comic Book Academy. And maybe there's a Bread Makers Academy. I don't know. Now, if we need to somehow recreate this table for some other purpose, maybe there's a Academy archive or something, what we can do is we can select from the Academy, and I'm just going to change this to select star. Select top 1000 says give me the first the top 1000 rows. If there was like a million rows, top 1000 prevents me from putting undue stress on the system. There's no way I want to look at a million rows. This example, if there was a million, I'd get a million. So this is a considered poor form, but since I know it's small, I can get away with it. So there's the 3 rows. But what's nice about this is I can use that as the source to insert into a new table. Where are we? We're in, let's change our context to the Smart Chart database. And again, I can do it using the GUI, or I could have alternatively said use and then the name of the database, Smart Chart. That's another way to change the context. Doing it in the script guarantees that every time I run this, it'll be in the Smart Chart database, regardless of what I do here. So if I put this back to master, it's not going to matter because I've got use in here, a use statement. So here I'm going to insert into, we'll call this the archive, maybe the Academy archive.